Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Roll. I got both of you on the picture.
Okay, this is Pete the Tech Guy, and I am in New Hampshire with Mike Negron, who's a candidate.
No, Steve Negron.
Steve Negron. Why did I say Mike? Because you're there. Let's start over. Hello, this is Pete the Tech Guy, and I am in New Hampshire with Steve Negron, who's a candidate for the 2nd District in New Hampshire, running for Congress this year. Steve, you just had an event here.
Yes, sir.
I understand that you regularly do YouTube streaming events with people and talking about issues and the like.
I do. We had actually talked about how we could be more accessible to people that are out there who can't come to these events, and we came up with this Live for 5 through Facebook and live streaming. And so we have a young man named Tyler Gouveia, who's a sophomore at Suffolk University. He said, "Why don't we do this?" He's a young kid, tech savvy, and it's great. We've had some tremendous response to it, so we're really excited about doing it.
Now, it actually must be a boon for not only yourself, but for your opposition, because they don't have to send a opposition research person to film you. They can just, there's the live stream, we can just grab it here and try and critique you. So
absolutely.
That's one less person you have to fit into a room.
That's right. And you know, and I would welcome that, you know, because once they realize what this campaign stands for, what my campaign stands for, what I stand for, then they'll realize that they've got a fight on their hands going forward.
Now, Steve, there's obviously, you're one of, I believe, 3 candidates.
Yes,
running
there's actually
into
4. Young man from New Bedford named Brian, that's also a declared candidate.
All right, and and given that a number 16 took out a number 1, we should not discount. We should not discount the young man.
That's right.
But okay, first of all, why Steve Negron versus candidates 1, 2, and 3?
Number 1, primarily, is that I am a conservative voice. I believe that this is a voice that has been lost for the 2nd Congressional District, and some very fundamental things about me. I'm a huge pro-life guy. I'm a Catholic.
I'm loving this.
Yeah, I'm a Knights of Columbus. I mean, I teach confirmation at my church. It's something that I have been aware of early on in my life. I'm a big Second Amendment guy. I'm a retired military guy, and it's not necessarily about about guns, because to me it's about the Bill of Rights. And being a Second Amendment guy means it's also 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10. It's the very bedrock of where we're at. And I'm a constitutionalist. I believe that the Constitution is the framework by which we go forward. And I think some of the other people that are running don't necessarily share those beliefs.
Now, one of the things that I think really strike me, if you look at New Hampshire, for example,
yes, sir.
President Trump won the primary by a big margin, I mean a ridiculously big margin. Just barely lost in the state, and it's my personal opinion that a lot of my compatriots from Massachusetts had something to do with that defeat. How important is President Trump to this primary and to the general election, in your opinion?
Well, first and foremost, he's the President of the United States, and so he's the top of the ticket for the Republicans, and so we need to make sure that we understand that going forward. I believe he's doing a lot of great things for this country. A lot of people may not recognize that right now, but I believe that we're going to see a lot of the activities that he's conducting right now. We're going to see the benefit 3, 4, 5 months down the road. We've seen a little bit about the stock market. I think that a lot of the things he's done has been able to boost the stock market. It's self-correcting, as the market does, but I believe we're doing some things that are right. I believe that what he's doing in trade, a lot of people are afraid of it, but I think he's looking at some of the bad trade agreements that we've had in the past, because people may not have looked at it the way he does. And I always tell people that when you do a trade, there's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th effects. People just want to look at the signing photo op out there, but what is the back end? That's really where you find out, when these things are out there for 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 years, what is really the net effect? And I think he's looking at some of those things and fundamentally changing those. So, there's a lot of people who may not agree with our president, but number 1, he is my president. I believe that there are some things that we're going to rally behind that he's done, and we're going to carry that message forward. And I think that's going to help going into this primary.
Now, one of the things that I remember when Scott Brown chose to run in New Hampshire rather than Massachusetts, which if I had more hair would be a cause for pulling it out, was that I remember covering a rally and remembering there being a Second Amendment rally saying, this is a bad idea, this isn't a bad idea. And in a year where Republicans swept everywhere, I believe it was 2014, Scott Brown was one of the few defeats. How important is it to have a candidate like yourself, solid on the Second Amendment in New Hampshire, solid on pro-life in New Hampshire.
Yes.
Solid on things that will make sure in a year where Democrats are energized, the Republican base will say, yeah, I want to be there with that guy.
Right. I think it all gets down to conviction. You know, I think a lot of people blow in the wind, you know, whatever is convenient. There's some things about Steve Negron that are non-negotiable. One of them is my belief in the sanctity of life. Nothing's going to move me in that position. I believe in the Bill of Rights. Nothing's going to move me off that position. And I think people in New Hampshire want to have somebody that they know that's a stalwart, that they're going to, somebody's going to send to Washington that's going to really be their voice. I tell people, this is a temporary job, right? I'm a temp employee, and I go down there for 2 years. If you like what I'm doing, you extend my contract. It's the way I own a business. That's the way I run my business.
What's your business?
So we do a lot of engineering, primarily for the Department of Defense. We do some stuff for the nuclear ICBM fleet. Currently today, and I was an ICBM missile combat crew member, so I still dabble in that. My company does that, and then we also do acquisition. So buying and procuring weapon systems for the government is what we do. So back to your original question, I think New Hampshire is thirsting. I think New Hampshire wants somebody that they know that at any given time, right, they can pick up their phone, they're going to call somebody, and I'm going to listen. Right? I may not have the answer, but I'll tell you what, I'll exhaustively try to find an answer for them. I won't let them swing. And I think they're looking for somebody that they know that they can actually then rely and depend upon.
And that's actually something I've theorized, and I have not had the chance, although I've questioned candidate Trump during the primaries. I haven't had a chance to question President Trump. It occurs to me that there are certain things where he treats the voter as a customer. That this is the customer, you've signed me on to do this job. As the customer, you expect X, Y, or Z. Even if I'm not as conservative,
right,
as I'm going to do these things because I'm the customer.
Right.
Will you be, as a person who's been in business,
yes,
will you be looking at the voters of New Hampshire as your customers? You hired me for this job, so I belong to you as the customer.
Without a doubt. And it's all about accountability, right? It's all about knowing that somebody put you in an office to do a job. And whether I was in the military or I was a business owner, somebody who's not performing, there's a couple of things you can do. You give them some time to make it right. You know, you give them cure notices. These are the things you got to do, or you get them out. And sometimes we belabor that decision. Sometimes we figure out, you know, good news doesn't get better with time. And one of the things that I've always done, whether I was in the military, as a business owner, is I hold myself accountable, and because that's my metric. You know, nobody else has a tougher stick to measure against than myself. That's the way I was raised, the way my dad raised me. And so if I'm telling somebody something, then you can rest assured that I'm going to do what I told you, because we only have a couple of things in this world, and one of them is your word, and you shouldn't break it for anyone. And if I tell you I'm going to do something, that's what exactly I'm going to do.
And if people want to find out more about your campaign or get attached for one of your 5 for 5 events, yes, on Facebook, where should they go? So
I have a website. It's Negron and the number 4 Congress.com. We're putting up some videos on issues that are coming out so people can get more about me. And then there's also a way that you can reach out to me on my website. So that really is going to be a conduit, and then we will actually then do these Live for 5 every week. We did it here at the Rogers House, which was great. We're going to do it next week at Representative Seidel's house. So I may be driving and pull up and say, you know what, I want to do one right now. The point of those things is that you can see and hear and talk to me at any point in time. I'm not going to be somebody that's out of sight, out of mind. You know, I love New Hampshire. I want to come back home. My wife lives here. My house is here. So I'll be coming back. I will always be somebody that they can reach out to and talk to. And when they go to that website, they're going to have some more information about me.
Steve Negron, candidate for the New Hampshire 2nd District nomination.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for your time, and hope to speak to you again before the primary.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.